In NCAA Division I football, there has been an ongoing decline in stadium attendance. During the 2018 season, home game attendance hit an all-time low since 1996. The difference in average attendance between 2008 and 2018 is about 5,000 fans. Our group wanted to focus on SMU football's attendance since we all know it's a pretty big issue here that most students go from the boulevard straight home instead of coming to the games. I wanted to look back on the history to just see where the change happened. In 1935, 1981, and 1982, SMU claimed 3 national titles. From 81 to 84, SMU was 41-5-1 and considered the best team in college football. Their most attended home game in 1981 drew in 62,000 fans. A few years before, in 1978, the Mustangs played Houston in front of a crowd of about 65,000 people. When the team received the death penalty in 1987, there was a drastic drop in school security. In 2006, the average student attendance for games was between 1,500 and 2,500, which was just about 13% of the total student body at the time. This past season, SMU's home attendance was an average of 15,000 fans, but as we all know, announced attendance is always a lot higher than the actual attendance.
SMU has a rich history for attendance. It was about 30 years ago when these same seats were packed, whether it was here or at Texas Stadium. But SMU has a rich history for attendance. Where SMU went wrong or where SMU lost their attendance was in the 80s when they had the death penalty. And that kind of took away the rich football history here at SMU. And for the last 20 to 30 years, students here have not attended games, so as Dallas as a whole have not attended the SMU games. SMU is a really great school that has a really great building program when it comes to their football team, but it's hard to get that back going how it used to be here in Dallas. So with marketing and of course winning seasons put together can make that rich history come back alive again and get these seats back filled with plenty of fans here.
One of the reasons for SMU's struggling attendance issue over the years has been the product on the field. It hasn't really been SMU standard from the days of the Pony Express in the 80s and 90s. And in 2016, SMU beat Tulsa by a score of 38-34 on this field and clinched a bowl game berth for the first time in about 10 years. But the attendance for that game was only 14,930. And that was the posted attendance, and people at the game can tell you that there wasn't that many people there. So our former coach, Chad Morris, really did a great job of fixing the product on the field and giving the fans an exciting team to watch on game day, but still the turnout and attendance was not what they were looking for. So to compare that number of 15,000 people during the win over Tulsa, in 2015, SMU faced Temple on this very field, and the posted attendance was a little over 17,000 people, which is 2,000 more than the bowl clinching win in 2016. The thing that's different is that SMU was 1-7 record on the year, which just shows that even fixing the product on the field, they're still having trouble getting butts in seats, which has been one of Rick Hart's, our athletic director, one of his primary goals as athletic director since 2012 was really trying to figure out a way to tap into the 40,000 alumni base in the DFW area, along with the 11,000 undergrad enrollment here.
SMU isn't the only school that's dealing with this. This is a problem that's been across the country for many years. But why it hurts SMU so bad is because the tradition that we have here for winning from a long time ago, and we're still trying to get that back, that love, that community feel here at SMU. And one of Rick Hart's goals is to build the bridge between student athletes and regular students. And this is a way for that to actually happen. Students coming to the game, actually seeing those players who they may have a class with. And that hurts SMU because when student athletes leave, they may not know their regular student body, and as vice versa, student body may not know who their student athletes are. And so that's something that that really hurts the SMU community as a whole?
There are several factors when it comes to decline in attendance. For example, alumni, switching divisions, recruits, coaches, staff and admin, and students. When discussing students, there hasn't been much room for student feedback when it comes to game attendance because so many additional activities are available and convenient prior to the game, like the Boulevard and other tailgating activities. The bulk of attendants visiting the pregame events and activities are either remaining at these events throughout the game or returning home due to intoxication. This attributes to the reason students are not fulfilling attendance to the preceding games afterwards. Aside from the game day activities, it is certain that other factors like alumni participation, switching division, recruits, and staff also play a factor in game attractiveness to students. When it comes to coaches and the staff and the admin, recently there's been a large turnover in the athletic staff, especially when discussing coaches. Typically, the turnover is often from a lack of growth or progression, being overworked, a lack of feedback or recognition, and little opportunity for decision making. When more of these factors are focused on to improve, it would be more likely that the staff wouldn't be so reluctant to tenure. Although there is an abundance of talent throughout SMU athletics, it is more likely that the stadium attendance would increase drastically if the university was able to recruit more prime athletes consistently. Ideally, this would start as early as permitted. SMU could start early recruiting process by establishing a relationship early on with the prospective athletes and find out things that genuinely matters to the athlete outside of an extravagant locker room or brand name apparel. For example, family access to games, distance from their friends and family, demographics of the team as far as fitting the environment goes, and the current staff and the current credentials. While being thoroughly connected throughout the city of Dallas, SMU athletics is certainly losing a grip of attendance from the lack of alumnus participation, especially the athletes. I would imagine that incentivizing attendance for alumnus would increase the overall turnout at most sports. For example, if we were to offer tickets at quarter of the price, as they are for the general public, in addition to perhaps a punch card for food or drinks at concessions. When it comes to alumni, due to a high turnover in staff, this equates to regular changes in policies and procedures. Alumni athletes aren't necessarily promoted or honored any more than 1 to 2 times a year. Outside of directly alumni-themed events, athletic alumni are not offered discounted tickets to games unless they're internally connected over mediums through SMU staff or SMU organizations. When it comes to switching divisions, SMU is currently in the American Athletic Conference. Prior to 2013, when the conference was changed, SMU was in the Southwest Conference and the Western Athletic Conference, but disbanded into the Big 12 in the 90s and left SMU behind due to the death penalty received in 1987. According to feedback from the student body, the athletic games and events would be more interesting and entertaining to watch if SMU was in the Big 12 conference playing teams like TCU or Texas Christian University or Baylor University, given the fact we are not much different from those schools.
Recently, SMU has decided to move the Boulevard for it to be closer to the football stadium in order to increase stadium attendance. However, a lot of students have voiced that they don't think that this is going to work because it seems unsafe since it'll be on concrete. One idea our team came up with to increase stadium attendance would be making the game more of an experience, more entertaining, and more fitting for our generation. For example, making sure that the Wi-Fi works, and that there's cell service for the students and faculty and whoever's going to these games. Discounts on food for students, giveaways that you can only get if you go to a football game, and maybe having your name entered into a raffle every time you go to a game for an opportunity to win a big prize at the end of the football season. When it comes to SMU, we need to take into account these changes. If we start to implement small changes and start giving our students more of an incentive to attend the football games, there is a chance that attendance would increase. For example, SMU has close ties with multiple restaurants near campus, like Cane's and Torchy's. If SMU decided to partner with either one of them, they could market towards not only the student body, but anyone near the SMU community. An example of this would be offering a meal pack inside the stadium, like $15 could get you a taco, queso, and a water or soda. Also, increasing our presence on social media can make a big difference as well. Being active on Twitter and posting polls to ask students what they want to see change, if the changes that we're implementing are working, and what they do or don't like about going to the football games.